All right. So we'll go ahead and start up our next session here, and we'll wait for people to file in for our session today about becoming a first alumni. All right. All right. I believe people are filing in. So, hello, everyone. As people are filing in to our session here today, welcome. Uh, I am going to be moderating as well as presenting. My name is Kyle. I am not only a first alumni myself, I work as basically an alumni coordinator for Georgia First, basically helping to bring together alumni. So I'm excited to be able to present today and just to be able to let not only you know, but also our students know, future alumni know about what we plan to do with our alumni here in the state of Georgia. So if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and drop them to chat, and I will go ahead and get them answered. As well as if you want to ask me any questions, depending on how many people there are, I will go ahead and open up uh, the voice as well, so that if you want to ask questions, we'll go ahead and so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen specifically so we can go ahead and take a look at what we're doing here. So today we are talking about the next episode. Uh, Obviously, as I said, I am a first alumni, and I have been in the first program through various programs over the last 20 years. And so I started out as a middle school student, shadowing a FRC team, specifically my alumni team, Team 1002. From there, spent 10 years at Team 1002 and did a lot of different things. Went then on to go to college and became a mentor for FLL, FTC, and FRC teams, as well as a coach. And very fun experience. And then started to get a little bit more into volunteering as well, where I became a a, a referee, master of ceremonies, and a lot of different days specifically about why any of this matters. When you transition from something as straightforward as being a uh, being a alumni, where um, you're in the ebbs and flows of your first experience as a student, where you're seeing all these different things, of all these different possible experiences, whether you want to become an engineer, whether you want to go into business and everything else. And you finally graduate, you get across the stage, you sit back in your seat after you get your gown and your cap and your diploma and everything else. And the next question is, what's next? And for a lot of first alumni, that can definitely be an interesting question. It's an interesting thing that you have to kind of grapple with every day. And so for me, thinking about why to be a first alumni is so key, because the thing is, there are so many things that being an alumni, an active alumni, actually produces that people never really think about until they really get into being part of the experience. So, because here's the thing, you don't just go from out of first to just doing, you know, just something random. I've been living my life. I went to college at the great Kennesaw State University. I started my career doing control systems engineering, and then going into specifically product management, as well as just in general my general life. I work as doing young adult ministry. I'm married and everything else. So realistically, for a lot of alumni, they go through a lot of life, and so they'll disconnect, they'll lose momentum of what they were doing before. But First kind of gives you the skills already, and they already give you a community. So the thing is, when you stay involved, it multiplies the impact that you can definitely have. And I'm not gonna lie to you, uh, when I got out from First back in 2011, as from being a student, the question I always asked myself was, okay, do I stay or do I go? And one of the things I always remember is from Connie. Connie always said, and it sticks with me to this day, there is no exit plan from First. I always used to laugh at that and say, there is, of course, an exit plan, but there really isn't. And I'm glad I didn't exit because First has given me a lot of different opportunities that I don't think I would have really pursued if I wasn't still attached to the organization. So here's the thing. When you're part of First, you have a lot of advantages that not a lot of other people have. You have your technical skills that you're learning. You are basically part of a startup or a large corporation where you're getting into the technical skills of engineering, programming, CAD, and honestly systems thinking. How do you basically build an actual robot? But larger than that, those soft skills, leadership, collaboration, project management. How do I successfully not just run a robot, but how do I run a miniature organization, miniature corporation of like-minded individuals to be able to not just build a robot, to be able to build a community? Because realistically, our theme is about more than just robots. We build people through the community, through outreach, through advocacy. And then from there, the professional assets that you actually have available to you as a firster, whether you have your mentors. I have a lot of people that I still consider my mentor years later who helped me in different ways, whether it be by life lessons or my actual technical skills that were built out, or employers or sponsors. Those all come in through a lot of the different things that come in through the first program. And I'll talk about it in a little bit about those opportunities. And then finally, realistically, you have more to offer than you think. I'm going to plug in my computer because I would like to be able to continue doing our presentation today. But you have more to offer than you think as a first alumni. And I like for people to remember that you are not just someone that just came to the program. You are a product of the amazing ethos of the first program. So that is what you get to be able to experience as a member of the first program. So from there, let's talk a little bit about what is available to you. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen real quick so you guys can see what we're going to be doing. So let's talk about your first. Let's go forward from there and talk a little bit about turning your experience into opportunities. So as a first alumni, you have access to a lot of different things on your plate. So for me personally, I used First on my resume from day one, being able to highlight leadership and measurable results. You know, you didn't just build a robot, you built experiences. For some of you, you may have been on the technical side, but for some of you, you may have been doing presentation, you may have been doing awards, you may have been doing pit interviews and presentations. And so use that to your advantage. Tell that story utilizing the STAR method, being able to basically break down why First has made you different than the rest of the crowd, right? So for me, right, we had to deal with a lot of different things as a first student. For me personally, I had to deal with how do we deal with robots that are not working and keeping morale up? Because let's be honest, when your robot isn't working on a day of competition, it can be the worst thing possible. And so for us as first people, the question is, how do we explain that to a potential employer? So from there, I basically talked about the fact that we went through a situation where our robot wasn't working, our end effector wasn't working. And so the question was, how do we reframe this? How do we organize ourselves so that we can handle the problem as well as handling personalities? And so being able to explain that to an employer was able to explain the concepts of leadership that you were able to take on in those tough moments. Those are turning those experiences into opportunities. Or, for example, as you guys may know, I am not just doing alumni stuff. I call myself a loudmouth of FIRST by being the master of ceremonies. I do a lot from being able to present and doing things like that. So I've talked to my current employer when I was first coming on to tell them, why would you be good at a product ownership or product management? How do you explain the story of what you did with FIRST? And so I was able to telling them over uh, a very long time, being able to advocate for FIRST, being able to advocate for the effects that it can have on a kid, not just for the actual technical part, but how it can build a person's self-esteem, how we can build a person up back from when they were down on the ground, and being able to explain that from the concept of being a public personality. And from there, I was able to leverage those opportunities and that experience I have with FIRST into an opportunity to become a product owner at my current job at AGCA Corporation. So that's another part of your alumni experience. So let's talk about actual hands-on things you can do with your first experience. It's easy for me to say volunteer. So volunteering doesn't just look like what I do as an MC. My day-to-day job is working and specifically figuring out how to best display the amazing students, the amazing mentors, the amazing program that we have here at Georgia First. But that's not the only job there. We have event roles like being a judge, being a referee, being a field technical advisor, doing field reset, doing all these different things, helping with safety glasses. But all these different things come into play in being able to build the first experience. And so I can tell you from experience with doing these events, being able to volunteer with first isn't just fun. It is a full circle moment for the people that uh, decided to invest in your experience by taking those 2 or 3 days out to be a volunteer at your competition, to be able to make that experience the most fulfilling that it could be. Then being able to capitalize on that experience, and now you coming back as a volunteer, you're able to bring that experience to new students and being able to bring it with a fresh lens. Because let's be honest, one of the greatest assets that we have as the first program is having alumni that come back and volunteer, because they have a unique experience that they went through the program. As much as I love people that will take their time, they never did first as a student, they never did it, and but they become engrossed in it, and that's amazing. But one of the most unique assets that we have is people that have experienced the program, that have experienced the impact that it can have, and then being able to leverage it in their own volunteering experience, to be able to say, okay, what would I want to be able to give out as a volunteer that maybe I did see when I was a student, or maybe I didn't see as a student, and I can basically enhance that role, because that's an amazing part of what we do. We've been able to see some of our alumni that started off on teams or even were volunteers, and they saw the inadequacies of not specifically our AV uh, system, but the larger AV experience within First. And now you have what we have here at Georgia First, where you have uh, multiple camera views, you have the lighting, you have all the overlays and everything else built out by First alumni and advocates of our First alumni. And that came from someone that saw the experience and said, I think we can do this better. And then they did. It's amazing opportunity to be able to have. Now, that's the event roles. And I say that not just for FRC, because any of our first programs, all the way from our first Lego League set of programs to first technical challenge to the first robotics competition, there is always a role that you can take on at an event. So I encourage you, you can contact us later on, whether it be on the Georgia First website or going to firstinspires.org and being able to look up opportunities to volunteer at a event. Now, then that's for all of our programs. But then specifically, what can you help with to plan this? Because uh, we talk about this every single year. It does it doesn't just take one person to do it. Although I do believe um, Connie or Beth could probably do every single role, most likely. But it helps to have people that can actually help to plan these things out, to plan out what the experience is for our students. And so there are actual planning roles. So we actually have our state and our regional planning committee for FRC, for FTC, and also for FLL. And so those planning roles help to be able to build out what does our practice field experience look like? What does our referee experience look like? Because let's be honest, the first experience doesn't just start on January 1st through the 4th. It starts right about August. And it takes months of planning for our amazing volunteers to be able to create the experience that our students, our mentors, our coaches get to experience all the way from September when we start, or August, September when we start with FLL and FTC, all the way to when we get to April and May when we get to our state championship as well as the first championship in Houston. So I encourage you, if you are interested in not just being part of those events, but also helping us to plan these things out, I encourage you to contact us at Georgia First Robotics, uh, and we'll get you connected because realistically, we need people that are invested not just in the moment for these events, but in the longevity, in the sustainability of our organization, of Georgia First Robotics. And I encourage that not just if you're here, right? As much as I love Georgia and as much as I love this state, if you're going off to college, if you're moving away for a job or whatever else, there are other FIRST organizations across this country and internationally that could use your help. So I encourage you, go to firstinspires.org/alumni. You can check there. You can actually see for opportunities of where you can plug yourself in. And it's an amazing experience because hearing the stories of First alumni getting plugged in at a lot of our different events at a lot of different places and them seeing what they're doing in other places and then helping us to even bring stuff back here to Georgia is also an amazing asset in itself. And the reason why I say volunteering with First is so important, you can build your leadership. So I've been able to work on a lot of different projects over the longevity of me being here with Georgia First, from being part of the advisory council to working on projects to be able to help with our alumni to even helping to build out things for our what we call our vocals crew for things like our master ceremonies and for game announcers, not just in FRC but also at FTC as well. So I've been able to help to build not just protocols but people as well, which has been a great experience. But then also being able to stay connected. Um, One of the greatest things that I can think of, uh, not just what I've been able to do inside of First, but also outside of First. It was an amazing thing to be able to, for myself, um, have a lot of some of our first volunteers at my own wedding. It was amazing to just stand there with people that have shared in my experience as I've was able to grow up from immaturity to still still a little immature, uh becoming a husband, and having those people there that were part of my first experience being able to celebrate with me in that moment, but then also being able to celebrate that with other people, being able to celebrate friends having kids, being able to celebrate other people getting married, getting to celebrate a lot of these different things, retirements, be staying connected is one of the biggest reasons why I stay volunteering with First. That is one of the big parts of why I'm so excited every single time the new season comes around, as well as networking with sponsors. I can't tell you the amazing experiences that I've had by actually being a First alumni, and I'll talk about one specifically. So back in 2014, I was working to get forward in my schooling. And it came time where I decided I really wanted an internship. I wanted to be able to have that experience of being able to get into the workplace and understanding why what I did with First would really help. And so it was interesting. I was talking to a volunteer who is now part of our board of directors, Chip McDaniel, and he basically said, "Hey, have you ever thought about Automation Direct?" Now, Automation Direct, if you don't know, is one of our key sponsors here at Georgia First. And very simply, he was like, "Hey, we have internships here at Automation First or Automation Direct. Why don't you take a look at what we do at Automation Direct?" And name, but sometimes you don't really think about what they're really doing. And so I applied to their internship program, got in. I worked at the fuel lab in there with product development. And it was an amazing experience to be able to work with actual product engineers that were working to be able to build robust PLC, uh, PLCs as well as HMIs, as well as just being able to see the day-to-day process of being able to a build out a lab, being able to build out control systems, being able to figure out how to break these things and how to make them more robust. I credit Automation Direct with really helping me to figure out my career path. Not just moving from my degree, which was in mechatronics engineering, but later on to be able to move into product management. How do we build products that people will appreciate? Not just cool things, which is always a fun thing to make, but how do we really make the things, make them well, that are going to help our customers? And especially for me, working for a company that builds tractors. AGCO Corporation, are one of our big slogans is Farmers First. And my thought process always is, how do I make people the best that they can be? And doing that internship with Automation Direct really helped me to be able to tune my mindset into being more people focused instead of just engineering focused, which is not a bad thing, but being able to be people focused means that it gives you a little bit of a kick to make the best things that you can as an engineer. And so for me, every day, I thank people like Chip McDaniel, like Rick Foley, and the people that gave me that opportunity at Automation Direct to be able to get to where I am now. But that only came because I made volunteering one of the core tenets of what I do in my life. And so I encourage you, volunteer. If there's anything that you get from here, I'm gonna say to you, volunteer. Take time, because as well, it's not just about giving back. I think if you're a student, if you are a mentor, if you're a coach, one of the biggest things that you can do in your first experience is to understand and to truly get what happens as a volunteer, because it basically builds a big bit of empathy about what goes on. For me personally, volunteering as a referee, uh, first out from college, I did not understand what it meant to be a referee. I didn't understand the hard choices that you had to make, the balance that you had to make with balancing doing the rules along with managing and helping these students to understand how to play the game and what that really meant. And I used to not like the referees. And I have a story that you can ask me in person of something that I did that I probably wasn't the most proud of. And I did it to our head referee, Jan Sperlin. And then come in 2012, I actually became a referee, and it was the most enlightening experience ever, where I had to basically look back and say, "Oh wow, I was super wrong. And I have way more appreciation for someone like Jan Sperlin, the work that she's done over the years. So, and it helped me a lot in the way that I even conduct myself as a first alumni and a first volunteer. But that appreciation only came from stepping out and becoming a volunteer. So, if there's nothing else that you get from being here, volunteer. Now, going to our next one, mentoring teams. As I talked about, mentoring is a very, very big part of the first experience. And I encourage you, you are going to go and do different things, whether you're going to go and do engineering, you're going to go and do um, business, you're going to go and do graphics, whatever you do, your experience that you are building upon from what you did in first can help to be able help with our teams as well. So I encourage you, find your local FLL, FTC, or FRC team, because those skills are going to help them not just in the experience there, but it's going to be a catalyst for them as they move forward in their own careers, in their own lives as well. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can mentor. You can run workshops in a lot of different things of CAD, programming, marketing. But you can also be available. One of the biggest things that you can do as a mentor is just being available to a student, to be there to answer questions, to be there to help them to understand why what they're doing is so important. And so your benefit, it deepens your own expertise because there are some times where you may be the only person there. And a lot of times the expertise isn't just in what you specifically are good at, it's in how to teach it. Because some of the greatest measures of your own skill level is, can you also teach that to someone else? Then from there, inspiring students, as I talked about, it's a catalyst for students to be able to take on those skills themselves, as well. And as I said, practice coaching. And so I encourage you, I already talked about it, go to firstinspires.org/alumni. You can go there and actually check out the opportunities for mentoring. There's an actual, basically a mentorship connection program. And then from there, you can actually see teams that are looking for first mentors in their local area and you can actually indicate what skill sets that you want to be able to provide. And so I encourage you, find an opportunity to mentor a team if you want. And I'll talk about personal things. Um, then from there, expanding your network. One of the things I would tell you is join alumni groups. One of the things we are starting here at Georgia First Robotics is our alumni association. We want our alumni here to have the best resources that they can, right? And so for us, we're going to be providing what we call alumni after hours, where we're doing programs at a lot of our different places where we're doing competitions from here in Metro Atlanta to Dalton to Columbus to Albany to Athens, reaching across the state of Georgia to be able to have events to bring alumni together, whether it be just for laughs and giggles, but also to be able to network, to be able to do skills workshops, to be able to help to build yourself even larger than what you're able to as a first student. So I encourage you to join our group. We'll be advertising it in our different events as we go throughout the season. So be on the lookout for opportunities to be able to join us. And we'll be having a really interesting event towards the end of the year at our championships for the district, for the Peachtree district, as well as our FTC state championship. So be on the lookout for there. But also not just joining alumni groups, but attend those regionals, attend the off seasons, attend the championship if you can. We are going to have a lot of different opportunities for you to be part of that first experience, whether it be here towards the later part of this year. We're not only going to have grits, which I believe is October 4th, but we're also going to be doing our leagues with FL or FTC specifically, where you can get involved in a lot of different places to be able to be a judge, referee, field reset, all these different things. but also to be able to be part of a lot of our different workshops or events like today with our symposium, and then attending our regionals slash district events that we'll be having within February, March, and April. And then finally, championship in Houston. If you can, I encourage you to go. It's an amazing time, not just to be able to meet other alumni, but to be able to meet people from industry, people, other mentors and coaches that would be able to help to bolster your own skill set. And then finally, building relationships that can lead to jobs. I talked about it. One of the um, relationships I was able to build helped to land me an internship. Then from there, I had a lot of other opportunities as well from what I was able to do to be able to help me with my own jobs. I knew people that knew me from first, and they asked me, "Hey, would you like to intern at my company?" And I got to intern at another company after I finished with Automation Direct, and then from there, it's yielded a lot of different results because I expand my network. So I encourage you, take the time to expand your network. Then from there, being an alumni, there's a lot of professional and personal growth, right? You can continue that skill building with certifications and hackathons that are available through FIRST and that we advertise. But I also encourage you, use FIRST as that springboard. There are scholarships that are available to you, and we talk about it every year. There are millions of dollars of scholarships that go untouched because no one signs up for them. So you can go to firstinspires.org/scholarships to be able to see what's available to you, but then use it as a springboard. I use FIRST and I get to talk about what we do here, because FIRST is a very unique experience in the people that it builds, specifically, not just the robots, but the people that it builds. And so I've been able to go speak at different conferences. I've been able to go speak in other countries, in South Africa, specifically about what FIRST does. And then from there, you can develop leadership, communication, and teaching skills as you are an active alumni. From there, I want to talk a little bit about what else you can do, because I've talked a little bit about the experience of being a FIRST alumni, right? Being part of the FIRST experience. But a lot of people don't think of what it actually does to give back beyond FIRST. And so um, I'm going to talk about my own story. So as I talked about before, I did FIRST. I've been in FIRST for over 20 years as of this last year. And obviously, I have a life outside of FIRST. I do a lot of ministry work. And specifically, my own in laws have a foundation called the Matthew Russell Foundation. And it's in honor of my own now brother in law, but unfortunately, he passed actually in 2011, right after I graduated from high school. And the point of our organization is to help to bring literacy into South Africa through libraries that we build. And so we actually build whole media centers and computer labs. And a lot of skills I actually took on with FIRST actually helped me to go ahead and build those media labs. And not just to build the labs, build the computer labs, but also to build curriculum for a lot of these students. Because I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that impacted me of why I stay in FIRST is understanding why STEM can change a person's life, why technology can change a person's life. I went over to South Africa in 2011, and I was asked by my now father-in-law to talk about why reading and why literacy and why learning computers is so important. And it was interesting because I started talking about this, and I was standing there and I'm doing this simple presentation, and I have a kid that was so scared and they raised their hand, and I picked on him. He had said, "What is that?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was like, "What is that?" And in my hand, I had a mouse, and it broke my brain a little bit to hear that question. Not just because I was like, how does someone not know what a mouse is? But I was like, it broke me because I was like, oh wow, there's they've never had this opportunity. They've never had this privilege of having what we have here in the United States. And so over those next years, we built out over uh 13 libraries all across the KwaZulu-Natal region of South Africa. And I went back to that school. I go back now every year, and seeing those same kids that had no idea what a computer was to now them getting scholarships to go to university there. A opportunity that we don't really think of here in the United States. Getting to go to university there in South Africa is life-changing opportunity to be able to get out from poverty and to be able to make a difference in their own lives. But even from there, so a new project I'm now working on, um, last year, between myself, my wife, and my in-laws, we bought a school in South Africa. So now a lot of the stuff that I do from FIRST in terms of being able to build out systems, being able to build out actual engineering curriculum, now I'm doing it and building out STEM curriculum at our own school, where we're getting to see kids all the way from what we would consider pre-K to 12th grade being able to really get into that experience. So I can tell you, find those opportunities outside from FIRST because you are a product of one of the greatest organizations on the face of this planet. And for people to, outside of FIRST, it's an amazing experience to be able to multiply this experience inside of FIRST. But to take this experience from inside FIRST and to be able to drop it just like a simple drop of water outside of FIRST into a place just like rural South Africa, and to be able to help to change an entire nation with STEM education is something that will give you the highest high that you could ever think of. So I encourage you, find places where you can be a STEM advocate, whether it be going your to different schools and talk to them about what you do with FIRST, or doing robotics demos, which I know a lot of our amazing partners with Georgia Tech and other places do with their robots. But also start outreach programs or STEM nights where kids can understand that for them, STEM isn't just something that's outside their reach. I deal with kids. I work a lot. I have a lot of mentees, young girls that I work with, and the first question that they always come to me with is it's so amazing what this is, but I could never do that myself. And the first thing I get to tell them is, uh, in the nicest way, listen, I am not the smartest person out there, and I'm now doing engineering. You for these girls, they're way smarter than I was at that age. And to be able to tell them, no, STEM is for you. You can do this. You can do anything that you put your mind to is one of the best experiences ever. And to see them actually grow in their own as engineers, as scientists, as cybersecurity analysts, as everything that they do is one of the greatest things that I get to do in my day-to-day life. And so finally, giving back beyond FIRST, promote diversity and inclusion in STEM. And I will tell you, I it doesn't go past me that I'm black and I'm here. And I know I'm one of sometimes few, but I'm not gonna lie to you. It's an amazing part to be part of a program that continuously reminds me that I'm not that the color of my skin doesn't define my ceiling. That it's the content of my character that defines where I can go. And to be able to help inspire other black men and women to be able to become engineers, to become scientists and everything else. To be able to be that example for other young black men that didn't believe that this could be that experience for them is really important to me because especially when I started off in first, when I started off in first, I'm not going to lie to you, wasn't it wasn't the most friendly for someone that looked like me. But I will tell you that there are amazing people in this organization, as from my own mentors and coaches to our own volunteers that remind me every single time that I do these events. You help to be able to inspire people that look like you, to remind them that these experiences are for everyone. We are not a closed system. We're not a bubble. That first is for every person that walks through those doors of a competition, or for people that walk into that robotics lab. First is for every person. There is no there is no closed doors. And so I think about that a lot. So I encourage you, find a way to get back beyond first, because the reality is you are a product of an amazing experience. Then from there, finally, let's talk about a couple last points. So when we talk about first, when we talk about what we do as a first alumni, we talk about what's the next step. What's your actual personal action plan? What are you going to decide to do? And so one of the things I tell people is figure out your action plan. What do you want to do? What the first thing is deciding your level of involvement. Here's the thing. Um, I'm not expecting everyone to be me, where, I have, 5 group chats for, between doing first alumni stuff to, doing extracurriculars of with mentoring and everything else, right? My first season is basically starts in September and goes all the way until April, May. Let's be clear, you don't have to do that. Anyone You can do your own plan, right? Maybe it's, hey, I'm going to decide to do maybe a couple of events in this next year. I'll do a couple district events, or maybe I'll get involved as a mentor, maybe a couple days a week. Decide what your level of involvement is and be okay with yourself that you live a life outside of first as well. So balance it, because I will tell you, we've talked about how amazing it is to actually be part of this first experience, but the best part about the first experience is that it helps to build not just your life inside of first, but outside of first. I go to first events so energized, and I come out so energized. I come back home, I go preach at my church, I go back to work, and I'm so fulfilled. And it's because I figured out that balance, and I'm going to tell you, I didn't have that balance, for the first couple of years, but I figured it out now. So decide your level of involvement and give yourself grace that you're gonna it's gonna change with your own seasons of life, right? And one of the things that I will encourage, and this is actually a tidbit from one of my friends, Noah Mentor, and he'll say this to the alumni that we get to talk with every year, especially right after we finish a season. But his encouragement, and I think it's honestly one of the best pieces of advice ever, is don't for 1 year, specifically 1 year, don't go back to your original team. And here's the reason why. You have been part of a first experience with that team maybe for, 4+ years, which is great. But one of the best things that can happen when you actually take a break from your own team and actually look at volunteering or mentoring with another team is you get to learn what other experiences other teams have, or what experiences you can see as a volunteer. And I will tell you that taking time off from mentoring my own team, 1002, back in 2011, and actually going to work with other teams It helped me to understand that there are different ways to do different things, whether it be there's different ways to mentors, different way to teach, different ways to administrate a team, different ways to fundraise, different ways to do outreach. And because I did that, I was able to grow as a potential mentor, as a volunteer, where I was able to understand different aspects of the first experience. And then when I finally came back to volunteer with 1002, we were able to bring those experiences of what I learned coaching. I coached a team. I coached a FLO and FTC girls team for years. I coached another FRC team and worked with other FRC mentors. We did that for years. And then learning from those experiences, winning blue banners, doing all these different things, and coming back to 1002, you're able to apply those experiences and be able to make it a lot better. And then from there, it gives you a ability to be able to see beyond your own lens that you've been seeing for the last couple of years. So take some time away from your own team. Just 1 year. You can go back whenever. Then from there, find your local first partner team, as I've talked about before. Pick your first event to volunteer at. I encourage you, go volunteer. There are a lot of uh, available positions and roles that you can take on, and it will make you a more informed firster. And then finally, connect with alumni networks, because I will tell you that uh, it is important. Now, finally, uh, and connect with alumni networks, become part of what we're doing here. Now, finally, as we go into this last point, what is the call to action? What do you do here, right? As I talked about, one of the things that is consistently on my mind is the words that Connie and Beth and Sue always remind me of every year. There's no exit plan. And for me, it's larger than just the first experience. It's saying your first journey isn't over. You get to choose your next chapter. You get to choose the next page of your own story. And so I encourage you, go to firstinspires.org/alumni, go to our volunteer portal, talk to our local people. You can contact me at kfender at GeorgiaFIRST.org. And I want you to let me know, as a first alumni, what do you want to be able to do? What do you want to be part of your experience? I want you to commit to your first event or your own mentorship today, because you can be part of a greater first experience, because you as an alumni have the unique experience of knowing the first experience as a student and being able to amplify the experience of our firsters for generations to come. So thank you so much. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. Raise your hands, whatever else. Otherwise, we are at 10:48. I've as a moderator as well, I encourage you, please go and check out the other parts of what we're doing here with the Georgia First Symposium. We have a lot more sessions that we are doing here today. I encourage you to go check them out, see what's happening there, hear from all these amazing presenters and everything else. Keep your gracious professionalism, and I encourage you, take something from today. And so thank you guys so much. Much appreciated. And let me make sure that I'm not missing anything. Q&A. Are the first scholarships available out of state, or are they exclusive to Georgia? I actually have a session happening later today where we're actually going to be talking about that specifically, where there are first scholarships available. Not just here in the state of Georgia, where we actually have amazing partners such as Georgia Tech and others that do first scholarships, but there are first scholarships available out of state as well to some of our amazing partners with FIRST, such as colleges such as WPI, MIT, not just larger institutions, but even smaller institutions as well. So there are a lot of FIRST scholarships available. Um, Let me make sure. And then, yeah, any other questions? Otherwise, thank you guys so much. Much appreciated. And we will see you guys in a lot of our other uh, other sessions here at the Georgia First Symposium. Thank you guys so much.